first one.
Well, good morning.
Morning.
I'm so thankful I'm not following Miss McGinty. I love her, but I tell you what, she takes a lot of the oxygen out of the spill. Folks, just a show of hands, how many truly want Tarrant County to stay red?
Yes!
I'm Mike Barber. I'm the only Republican that's on the ballot for Tarrant County Commissioner Precinct 1. Folks, that seat has been held for 35 years by 2 Democrats.
Time is up.
I have thrown my card on each one of your tables. I'm going to ask one thing, well, 2 things from you. First and foremost, I need your prayers. But secondly, would you do me one favor? Take a picture of that card, send it to one friend a day for 7 days.
Wow.
If you've got a bigger circle of friends, send it to the whole group. Let them know who we are, let them understand why we're running, and if you believe in our cause and believe in the message that we're trying to convey, share why we are the best candidate on the ballot. Mr. Kennedy, it's good to see you back there in the far back. Glad to have you with this group. I love each and every one of you. I've enjoyed getting to visit with each of you. We have the most challenging race. I think Mr. French will attest to that. We have the most challenging race. I need your prayers and I need your support. Just one friend a day for 7 days. That'd be appreciated. Thank you.
That's good.
President of this great group, and it's so great.
I'm your judge of the 325th Family District Court. I'm not on the ballot, but I just wanted to repeat what Meta said. Christina Denapoulos, the contact for the volunteer deputy registrar training. She's my associate judge, so you can contact either me or Meta. Christina said that she will get back with you by tomorrow if you have questions. But we do have to have an additional 8 people by the 22nd of February, or else they'll cancel the 24th reservation. So.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Teresa Ramirez. I'm running for House District 91. I'm the first Latin American to run in that district. I'm the first American Indian to run in that district, and I would like your vote. And if you can, share me on your personal profiles. I will greatly do a wonderful job, and I'm looking at November for our presidential race. We're going to bring everyone to the finish line. We're not the majority as Latin American Republicans, but we will pull us all through for the November presidential election.
Hi, I'm Karen Weissman. John O'Shea was here earlier, but he had to leave to attend another event. He's the America First candidate for Senate District 12, and he would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Hey y'all, I'm here with Leslie Robnett. She's actually going to be coming right here. One of her kids had a basketball game. When you're going to be involved with the kids, you want to make sure you're there as much as possible. She should be here soon, but if not, she'd love your vote and support in the upcoming primary election.
I'm Cheryl B. I'm running for House District 97. I'm here and I will vote every time. And I am your hometown candidate with a lot of experience, and I love your vote. Thank you.
I'm Elizabeth Kerr. I'm one of your 7 appellate justices here in town. I am not on the ballot again for 4 more years, so I will sit down.
My name is Vince Giardino. I'm running to be the next judge of the 396th District Court. I'm an unapologetic conservative. I look forward to serving you starting January of 2025. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Anthony Shue. I'm running for the 360th Family District Court. Sorry about that earlier. I had a taco in my mouth, so I was like, but good morning. I thank everybody for being here on a Saturday morning. I'm here with my family as well, my wife and my 2 beautiful kids. And I just want to say that the 360th Family District Court does not discriminate on any socioeconomic or any other impacted. It doesn't discriminate on this. Every litigant that comes to court should be treated equally, fairly. Every litigant in court should be treated ethically and morally. And I think that's something that we need to move towards again in the 360th District Court position. And I feel like I'm the person to do that. I'm a lifelong Tarrant County resident. I was born and raised in Arlington, Texas. But more importantly, I come from a family of conservative people. A lot of people ask me, where do my conservative values come from? Well, I can tell you that we fought the communists, actually fought the communists. I don't think, we all have our unique circumstances of how our family came to the United States, but I'll tell you, When my grandfather fought the communists and served as a 27-year POW communist time as a result of my family is a result of his sacrifice. As a firstborn American here in the United States, I can tell you that I'm privileged to be able to run for a position such as the 316 Family District Court. And I don't think we can say that in any other country, really, where a first generation of immigrants in the United States can run for positions such as this. I understand freedom, I understand liberty, but more importantly, I understand the judiciary is the backbone of our country. It preserves our Constitution, it preserves our rule of law.
30 more seconds.
And we need ethics in that Michigan. Yes, Ms. Johnson. Without further ado, my name is Anley Shue. Please vote for me 360.
Hi, I'm Debbie Adami, and I am your Vice President of Programs for the Wednesday afternoon luncheon, every fourth Wednesday. And also, I'm a precinct chair in 2506, and that's Southwest Arlington, in case you want to know where it is. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Courtney Doris. I'm not the candidate, but my husband is. And I'm not the extrovert. My husband is. My husband, Clinton Doris, is running for CD12 along with John. And I just wanted to get his name out there and let you guys get to know him. He's a decorated veteran and just has a passion for protecting our nation from the invasion of other countries that want to come and take us over. So if you if you felt led to go and learn a little bit more about him, please go look at his website. He has videos on YouTube he puts out daily on Facebook and I think Instagram. I homeschool, so I don't get on most of those things, but I'm learning. And just go and look him up and feel free to contact him. He was at another event and couldn't be here, so I said, I want to go get your name out, so here I am. And if you feel even more called, I have some of his signs that I would love to not be in the back of my car.
Good morning, I'm George Gallagher. I am the judge of the 396 District Court for 25 years. Endorsed by Fort Worth PD, Tarrant County Law Enforcement, Arlington PD, Bedford PD, Lake City PD, Grapevine PD, and Great Sheriff Bill Williams. And I am honored to have them as the endorsement. Law enforcement likes a judge who works with them and works well, and I'm that judge, and I want to continue my work. And I want to apologize. There's 10 days, I think, or 12 days left till early voting starts, and I have 2 more things I have to go to. I got to be in Arlington at 11 o'clock, so I'm going to sneak out. Thank y'all very much. I appreciate your support.
Good morning. I am Judge Patricia Baca Bennett. I am your judge in the 360th District Court. I would love to spend hours telling you about my proud Hispanic heritage and all that my family did to settle this country. But what I will tell you is in 2020, when all of our Republican judges were fighting hard to keep Tarrant County red, my opponent didn't even vote. He's never voted in Republican primary. I have been your judge since 2017. I have worked hard. I got rid of a huge backlog when I became judge. I worked hard through COVID and I don't have a backlog today. I am board certified by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization in Family Law. I have disposed of over 25,000 cases as your judge, well over that, as your judge during those 7 years. When I was a practicing attorney, I handled well over 1,000 cases. Look up my opponent on District Clerk online. You will find that he's handled about 65, 66 cases, maybe a little bit more because there might be some sealed cases. Of those, there were 6 withdrawals and 7 dismissals. I am your family court judge. I'm going to ask you to keep me as your family court judge. I'm a proven conservative, I'm a proven jurist, and I'm a proven family law specialist. Thank you.
It's not on the ballot.
I'm Eric Starnes. I'm your judge at County Court number 7. It's Saturday morning. It's raining. I promise when I go to work, I don't look like John Fetterman. This is going to be a busy week at the courthouse this week. There's a lot of trials that are going to start. I'm starting a trial Monday morning at 9 a.m. If y'all are bored, don't have anything to do, you can show up and watch a trial. I will put you in the comfy seats while we pick a jury. We're starting at 9 a.m., so you're welcome to come down. Cheapest parking downtown is at the Plaza Building. It's $10 a day, and it's right across the street from the courthouse. Look out if you want to walk.
and no, I'm not elected by the public, but I am elected by the entities of this area. Believe it or not, in Tarrant County, there's 63 ISDs, cities in the county that elect who's on the Tarrant Appraisal District Board. And last year I got brought in on a special election, then I won my election this time around. And at our last meeting, our first meeting of the year, January, I became chairman of the board of the Tarrant Appraisal District. So that's pretty cool. Now, I've got a question. Who thinks I'm Hispanic?
I do.
Or it's called Mexican American. All right. I am an American.
Amen.
I am better than American. I am a Texan. And on top of that, I am a Christian.
Amen.
And all of what Moon and I do come out of our faith. Our voting comes out of our faith. That doesn't mean we might not vote for the wrong person or the right person, but that's where we're coming from. And all the things we do are out of our faith. And so on your table, you've got a thing. One of the things the Lord's blessed us with is a home that we can entertain in. And so more than entertainment, we can educate. So we have 3 events coming up. Next one is on February the 18th, and those are I want to call it candidate forum, but they're candidates on a ballot. 3 of those candidates are statewide candidates to the Texas, not the Texas Supreme Court, but the Texas Criminal Courts of Appeal. You rarely get to be in front of those people. We'll have 3 of those there at that, and several others. Now, in all transparencies, these are candidates that the Puentes have endorsed. Then on top of that, that is an extension of our faith, getting the right people in office. On top of this, next one is the Colson Forge event. If you heard of Colson Prison Ministries, have you heard of them? Well, this is a Colson Center, a division of that, or not a division, but an extension of that. And we have John Stonestreet, the CEO of that organization, at our home. This guy is an amazing speaker. We complement that with the Forge Room Foundation, Lance Cashins, who's doing an amazing work here in town. And you're going to see how our faith comes together in the marketplace. And so that is going to be, you're going to walk out of there just not knowing what's going on. Then on top of that, after that in March, we have the Walk Church. The Walk Church brings church to senior centers and memory places. And they do an amazing thing through their Christian faith. And again, you'll walk out, they will have a lot of music. You'll just walk out there with joy. So we hope you'll join us. They do require RSVP. One invitation's out. If you're not on my list, give me your email address and you'll get an invite, and you can respond to the invite, and then there'll be more invites coming out on these others, so you can mark those on your safety page. All right, thank you.
I'm running for House District 97. Thank you so much for letting me do this. My son Cyrus is about to come in. I coach his basketball, so we had a little bit of basketball this morning before we got to come here. But thank you so much for your support. I'm running for House District 97, which is Craig Goldman's seat, and I would just love to talk to you more about my candidacy, and I would just very much appreciate your vote. Thanks so much.
I hold it to my sleeve. I'm a Latin American that comes from migrant workers. So when someone says they're an American and they don't want to hold that to themselves, it's a hit in the stomach when I hear it. Because we've been here in longevity. And we've been here, put our hands in the ground, and we've defended this country with our hearts. So I hope I get your vote, and believe me, we're going to work on lowering those property taxes.
Be battling torrential floods, but thank you for coming. The breakfast was fantastic. The food here is always great. I love it. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time, lecturing you all or talking about all kinds of stuff, and I want to give you a brief overview of what I have going on, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and then I'd like to just open it up to questions. So be thinking about, as I'm speaking, what questions you have for me, because we'll get to that in a little bit. I feel like this poll is just like making away here. But let's see. I was elected to be your Tarrant County GOP chairman in October in a special election when Rick Barnes stepped aside to run for another office. And so my election was just among the roughly 340 precinct chairs. I am on the ballot in the primary, but I don't have an opponent, praise God, so I get to do stuff like this and not have to campaign. My background is in business. I grew up in West Texas, my family's from Fort Worth, my mom's side of the family's from Fort Worth, so I had that connection here. I moved here in the 90s and have made Fort Worth my home since then. I love Fort Worth. I grew up in Midland, though. That's where I spent most of my childhood. And so I kind of have that West Texas identity. that I think a lot of people in Fort Worth sort of hold on to, you know, different than the Dallas folks, right? We sort of identify with our Western roots here, and I love that about Fort Worth. And it still has that, even though it's a big city, we have every amenity of all the big cities, but you know, we kind of maintain our small town values here, which I really appreciate. Which is why Tarrant County is still red. Now, how many of you think that Tarrant County is safely red? Okay, I'm glad to hear that.
Nope.
It's not, I'll just tell you that. I think, I believe we have far more Republicans here than we have Democrats. But the Democrats have killed us in the last several cycles, registering new voters. So when I hear there's a deputy registrar training coming up, I hope that all of you all will do that. If you just register one other person to vote, I mean, that's a huge thing. So please consider that. The more people we have doing that, we have to combat what the Democrats have been doing here. So I came into office in October, and then immediately had to face running an executive committee meeting, which is not my strength. I'd never done anything like that before. Thank goodness I had some decent help, and I suffered through that one. I've run one more since then, which I think went a little bit better. But those meetings, you know, we have several hundred people in a room, and everybody has opinions and things like that. It does get a little contentious, and you know, I think we all know that we have sort of different factions among the Republican Party. And any of you who know me and know, you know, I ran for state representative a couple times. So any of you who know me know that I'm very conservative. But the writing is on the wall. If we don't unify as a Republican Party going into November, the Democrats are going to continue to make grounds. And so that's my focus. Of course, I have my preferences in the primary, people who are running for different offices, but I totally stayed out of that. I don't think it's appropriate for the chairman to be involved in any of the primary races. My job is to oversee the primary and make sure that our Republican primaries run the way that it's supposed to be and fairly. And one of the first things I had to do when I was elected was we had Tarrant County elections trying to dictate to me how we were going to run our primary. And I didn't like what they had to say. They wanted us to have a joint primary. They wanted Democrats handling our ballots, all kinds of stuff like that. And I won't bore you with all of the details, but even all the way through Christmas, I was still pushing back on them, standing my ground, had a great legal team involved, and we were able to essentially get them to reverse course. I mean, they put us in a position where we felt like we didn't have a choice, and I think that was by design. We stood our ground, we continued showing them legal precedent why we could do what we were going to do, and finally on Christmas Eve, talking to the head of elections, well, I wasn't even in town, I was out of town, but talking to him through Christmas break, we were able to finally agree on how we were going to run our primaries, and we made that announcement in early January. And so for this cycle, we are going to have, similar to what we did last election, we're going to have a separate primary on election day, so we're not going to have any Democrats handling our ballots. Now my goal is to get completely away from that, even in early voting. With early voting, it's a little different. It's still not the way that we prefer it to be in early voting, because we have this, you know, countywide voting and all that kind of stuff, and there's lots of momentum and thought on what we need to do by next election cycle. And so we've already started the ball rolling on making even more significant changes to ensure that our Republican primary is that a Republican primary, tamper-free from, you know, potentially tamper-free from Democrats. So that's my goal. That's what I'm working towards as your Tarrant County GOP chairman for the primary. Now, separate from the primary, there's lots of other things we have to do here in Tarrant County. When I came into office, essentially the party had no money, and you know, I got questioned a lot. Well, you're a donor. Why why haven't you spent a lot of time donating to the Republican Party of Tarrant County? And my answer was simple. I had never been told a compelling reason why I needed to. They had never made the pitch to me why it was important to support the party. You know, when you're a candidate, you go out and you make the pitch. I've done that. I knocked on 10,000 doors in Tarrant County. You go door to door, you make the pitch. Why do you want to vote for me? Why should you donate to my campaign? No one had ever done that to me about Tarrant County, so I just had never thought about donating to Tarrant County. Well, I think a lot of people probably feel that way because the party had no money. And one thing I've done in my career is I've raised a lot of money. So asking for money is not difficult for me. I feel like I'm pretty good at it. I have a pretty good network of people who have money. So That's something that I feel like I brought to the table, and part of why I think I was elected is people recognize that 2024 is really a pivotal year. And if we don't raise some money in the party and do the things we need to do, the Democrats are going to keep making gains. So just, most of you probably know this because people talk about it all the time. In Tarrant County, in 2016, obviously, Trump carried Tarrant County. But in 2018, Beto O'Rourke beat Ted Cruz in Tarrant County. And in 2020, the top of the ticket, Biden beat Trump in Tarrant County. So now down ballot, Republicans have done well. And we're going to continue, we hope that continues. But we've got to get way more Republicans to the polls than we've been getting. Because the Democrats, if you just look at the actual numbers, the Democrats' line of voter growth goes like this, and ours is kind of like this. So that tells me that Republicans just haven't been super motivated. So we're going to change that this election cycle. So one thing I did politically was I helped Don Huffines run his campaign. I don't know how many of you were involved in that or familiar with that. I know some of you were. But that was a statewide campaign. We raised $25 million. We knocked on lots of doors. We ran TV ads, radio ads, billboards, print. We did all the things that you would think a big statewide campaign would do. So bringing that experience into Tarrant County, I thought, shoot, why don't we just do something like that in Tarrant County? We have 2.5 million people here. It's sizable. So what can we do to ensure that Republicans turn out more voters in November than Democrats? And so I just said, well, we're just going to run it like its own campaign, which means we've got to raise money like its own campaign. We're going to have door knockers, which we already do. We already have precinct chairs. We have about roughly 340 precinct chairs now. And which, by the way, people were worried because I'm a little bit of a departure from previous chairmen. And so some people were worried that I might scare people away or that people wouldn't be motivated to participate in the party process with someone like me at the helm. And I am pleased to announce that the highest number of precinct chairs refiled to be precinct chairs again than we've ever had. So, and I just think that's a testament to most people recognize how important this is, and we're not going to worry about the inter-party, who's more conservative or who's more establishment or who's, Trump or who's not Trump or whatever there's a lot of that inter-party stuff. The Democrats, they don't worry about that, right? They all just do the same thing. So when it comes to our general elections, we have our fights in the primary, and I think that's a good and healthy thing because my preference is I want the most conservative candidate who's going to be a champion for the Republican Party platform. So when I hear, why are people arguing about what's important in the Republican Party or, who's doing this or who's doing that? To me, it's like a simple thing. Let's unify around our conservative Republican platform.
Yeah.
So what I'm looking for, without, tipping my hat towards any particular candidate or any primary, what I will say generally, my preference is, I want the person who doesn't care what everyone else thinks, who's going to stand on principle and go fight for our platform. Yes. Period. So, if I could just give you, one bit of advice, my 2 cents, when you're thinking about who you're going to support in the primary, make sure it's that person. Okay?
That's right.
Now, speaking of that person, we had Marjorie Taylor Greene in town the other day. How many of you were here at that event? A few of you? Okay. So, quick story on that. One of the things I decided I was going to do is I was going to try to just think outside the box on some events that we can have here in Tarrant County to help raise a little money for the party. I'm friends with a guy named Sergio Gore, who used to be Senator Rand Paul's chief of staff. So I ran into Sergio at Mar-a-Lago in November. I saw Cheryl there, by the way. So I was talking to Sergio, and hey, what are you doing now? You're not chief of staff anymore. He said, well, I started a publishing company. I published Donald Trump Jr.'s book, and I published Marjorie Taylor Greene's book. And I said, well, that's great. He said, what are you doing now? I said, well, I'm the newly elected chairman of the Tarrant County GOP. He's like, Tarrant County, that's super important to Texas, isn't it? I said, yeah, it's very important. And he said, well, we ought to get Marjorie through there. And I said, absolutely, let's do it. So we organized it, and that's how it happened. It was kind of a last-minute thing. We didn't really have a date set until early January. So when I sent out the email in early January, we were literally still trying to finalize details. So in just a few weeks, we put together an event. I don't have a committee of people helping me out with that, which that needs to change, I've learned through this process. But we put on an event, had 150 people there. We raised a little bit of money for the party. And by all accounts, it was a very well received event. How many of you who were there liked it? Okay, good deal. One thing that struck me about what she was saying, and I'll just touch on this for a second, and I think, the media likes to paint her as this crazy person, but one thing that was abundantly clear if you were there is she's just a normal person who literally is exactly what I just said. She's someone who doesn't care what they say about her. She doesn't care that, they call her Nazi or whatever. She just fights for what she believes in, and, that's it. And I think that is to be commended, and we need more people like that. So, I am working on, without announcing anything today, I am working on more events like that because I think it's healthy. And look, they're not all going to be cut from the same cloth as Marjorie Taylor Greene. We're going to try to bring other people in who appeal to, different groups of people. And I think that's important because, like I said, my goal is to unify everybody for November. And along those lines, let me just lay out a couple things that I'm doing in one of the ways that I'm running this as a campaign. So like I said, we have 340 precinct chairs, and everyone kind of has, there's a range of how people behave as precinct chairs. Some people know everybody in their neighborhood, and they have knocked on those doors for 20 years, and they don't even have to knock on the doors anymore because all those people just call them, hey, who do I vote for? What do I need to do? Where can I get my yard sign? All those things, and that's great. We have new precinct chairs who've never done anything, and they're learning how to go knock on doors, and but the one thing that was striking to me, not only did we not have any money as a party, we didn't have any data. We barely have an email list. There's like 12,000 people on our email list, which in a county of 2.5 million people, you'd think there'd be hundreds of thousands. And so I said, well, the first thing you do in a campaign is you start gathering data on who your voters are and what interests them, what campaign, issues are super important to them, in this particular campaign. So I said, well, the first thing we need to do is we need to empower all of our precinct chairs with voter contact software. That's every campaign I've ever been involved in had that. So we have now started that process, and as we get through the primary, more and more of our precinct chairs are going to have an app on their phone where they can literally go, as they're knocking on doors or as they're calling people, they can start gathering data on all of these people. Now, why is that important? It's not just so the precinct chair. The precinct chairs know a lot of these people. They have a lot of this in their head, but we've never had a way to really consolidate it where we can make decisions like a campaign needs to make. What mailer do we need to send? Based on the contact that people are having at the door and what issues are important to people. How do we need to message these people with the goal of our Get Out the Vote program in November? So that's something I'm pretty excited about. It's going to take a while to really get people up to speed on that and ramped into that, but I'm confident that that's going to make a big difference in what we're doing. I've created a budget for what we're going to do, and since the press is here, I'm going to not go into super specifics on that, because I don't want the Democrats to know exactly what we're doing. What'd you say?
Oh, come on.
You know what? Let's have an interview sometime. We'll do that. And maybe I'll tip my hat a little bit more then. But I have a budget. It's a substantial amount of money that I'm trying to raise for November. And what we're going to do with that money is we're going to be able to we're going to do polling. Like I said, we're going to have some paid door knockers where there are places where we need to focus a little bit more, where we have some gaps in our, there's roughly 600 precincts in Tarrant County. We have 340 precinct chairs, right? So we have lots of areas where we have nobody involved, and I know that some of our precinct chairs are super motivated and have recruited other people in the neighborhoods to go knock the neighborhoods where there aren't precinct chairs, and that's awesome, and I hope that we get a lot more of that, but we're still gonna have holes that we need to plug in. So we're gonna have a little bit of money budgeted for knocking those areas, pay door knockers. Again, all with the purpose of gathering data on the people that they talk to. We're going to be able to do polling, which is not free. That costs money. Anybody who's run a campaign knows that. Polling is expensive, but it's super important, again, for gathering issues, knowing what issues are super important to everybody. And then that gives us the ability to have printed material, mailers, even television ads, radio ads, those kinds of things that we can run as a party for the benefit of all Republicans. Like I said, in the primary, I want the most conservative person to win, but in the general election, I will take the worst Republican over any Democrat. Okay? I mean, literally we're at a point in our country where, and I feel like we say this every election, but really, it does get worse every year. I don't know how we manage to do that. but it is more and more critical. We've seen what the rule of law is totally gone, jailing people on dubious charges, charging people with dubious charges. I mean, it's just nuts what's happening, and we've got to put a stop to it. And the only way we're going to put a stop to it is rise up, motivate other Republicans to get to the polls, and let's just overwhelm the polls with Republicans so that the Democrats don't do anything in Tarrant County. Because it's not just the top of the ticket that matters, it's all the way down the ballot. Think about that. Some judges in here. If you have a business dispute, do you want to go in front of a judge who's a Democrat? You think you're going to get a fair trial in a business dispute? I mean, if you own a business, you're exactly the kind of people those Democrats hate. You're successful, you've made money, you employ people. You're not going to get a fair trial. Not from that judge. I mean, we've already seen what these Democrats are doing in other parts of the country. We don't want that here in Tarrant County. Okay? I don't want that here. I think it's bad. Look, I'm a father of 4. I'm a single dad, and I spend all my time focused on my kids, what's important to my kids, trying to fight for their future, because I want them to grow up in a country that values our freedom, our liberty, our religious freedom, our freedom of speech. All of these things are under attack. I keep saying, and I've been saying this for years, I believe we're in a spiritual battle.
Amen.
And this is literally a fight between good and evil.
That's right.
And there is evil all around us. It's everything we love and believe in is under attack. It's a fight against, they're trying to destroy everything that is good, right, true, and beautiful. And that has to do with this gender transition nonsense where they're trying to mutilate our children, convince our children that they're not the body that God gave them. I mean, all of these things, it's disgusting to me. And I think most people believe that. It's just a radical minority who don't. And so we, as the silent majority, really need to step up and get involved. Now, a couple other things. I know I'm probably running a little long here, and I promised you some questions. A couple other things we're going to do a little differently as the Tarrant County GOP. We're going to get a little bit more involved in our May elections. It's not really something the party has done a lot of. I know that they are nonpartisan elections, but that doesn't mean the person running is not a Republican or a Democrat. Right? And so these elections are super important because when someone runs for city council or someone runs for city council, school board or whatever, these are people who might be passionate about that one thing, but once they're elected to that, you know how it is. They then run for something bigger, and they keep running for something. So this is the bench for our future leaders, and so I believe we need to be involved in pointing out who these people are. And if someone is a radical Democrat, I don't have a problem pointing out that person is a radical Democrat and probably not reflective of the values that we have here in Tarrant County. So that's something else I want to get involved in, and I'm really super excited about what we've been able to accomplish so far just in the few short months that I've been in office. And I look forward to continuing that. If you guys have any questions, as a club, I want you to know that one thing we're going to try to do is also just interface with all the clubs like yours so we can really all marshal our forces together and work together towards the goal of winning November 24th. So I thank you all for that, and at this time, I'm happy to take any questions.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I ran for a local election, and I had I've served in every level with the GOP, Tarrant County GOP. I've been elections chair, I could go on. I just want to say, on your May elections, I like that you're saying that you're going to support that, although it's nonpartisan. Because my opponent is very much central left. And he was endorsed by several of the people that I served to get elected. And what I've seen him say among 6 people that were on my campaign, he said he would not be one person to tell a parent not to transgender their child. And he, of course, is sitting in city council. I think more moderate and liberal, really the rhinos, are sitting in city council. They keep saying the same thing over and over again, and I keep hearing it. I will not tell a parent if they cannot or can transgender. They support the transgender.
Yeah. So I think that.
Can we censor anybody
Yeah,
that's supporting them?
And I think that, I'll just give you my personal perspective. I mean, I grew up in the era, I'm old enough, believe it or not, I grew up in the era of Reagan, remember Reagan?
Yes.
And loved Ronald Reagan, and wish I could communicate like he did. He was amazing. I actually remember I was sitting on my dad's lap in '76 when they called Reagan down to come speak at the convention. And I was only 6 years old at the time. But the reason I remember that is because I remember the reaction my parents had, because they hadn't supported him. And it was literally, he gave that speech, and for 3 days or 4 days afterwards, they kept talking about it, and it was like a paradigm shift in my home. And so anyway, I've always thought fondly of that and President Reagan. And I've always viewed myself as a Reagan Republican, historically. Now that's evolved over the years, and I think that that's part of what, in a way, divides part of our party. A lot of people view themselves as Reagan Republicans, which is great, but we're fighting different battles today than we were under Ronald Reagan. And in my view, Republicans need to evolve and understand what the problem is today, where we are today, and let's fight the battles of today. And so this trying to transition our kids or whatever, this destruction of the family, all of that, all of those kind of things, and they weren't really talking about that much in the 80s, 70s and 80s. But boy, it's a focus now, and we see the destruction that has wrought to our society. And so I think it's important for us to focus on that. So that's my perspective, and I hope that you all feel the same way.
Amen.
Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
My concern is about election integrity. We hear all this stuff that, oh no, there's no voter fraud, there's no stealing ballots, there's no. What are we, in Tarrant County, and of course in the state, what are we doing to make sure that stuff like that isn't happening?
Yeah, but voter integrity is super important, and I'll just tell you that I believe that what people in government tend to do is protect themselves. And so that's the fact of government bureaucracies. And so I think it's incumbent on us to stay vigilant. Now, we all have seen different clips of things that were clearly fraudulent in the 2020 elections. Now, to be fair, all of what we saw was in Georgia and in Michigan and Pennsylvania and Arizona and places like that. The states where I think Trump lost the 2020 election by 42,000 votes total in 3 states, and all of that came in the midnight. Let's stop counting. Let's truckloads of ballots start showing up. All that kind of stuff. So look, you don't have to be a genius or even a partisan to recognize that something fishy was going on. That was by design. And we need to make sure that does not happen here. Now, I'm not saying that our elections here are perfect, but we don't have the problems here that they have elsewhere. But we need to make sure we don't have the problems here that they have elsewhere. And so that's why I am in favor of closing our primaries here in the state of Texas, and that's something that you're probably going to hear more about over the next year. I'm in favor of getting rid of the countywide voting, going back to precinct voting. I know that countywide voting is convenient for some people, but I don't really care if it's convenient. I want people to vote in their neighborhoods so that the people at the voting center know that the people are voting, and it's easier to audit and all those kind of things. So I'm a huge proponent of all those things. And then the last step is everyone's like, oh, the machines. Well, you're right. Some of those machines are terrible. I think of the voting machines, ours are the best, least likely to be tampered with, and all that kind of stuff. So for now, I'm confident that our elections are about in as good a shape as they can be. But like I said, I think we do need to move towards, if it were my preference, election day would be a national holiday. We would have 1 day of voting, no early voting. That would be my preference. So, is that a question? No. Okay. Just a hands up, I'm in favor. Okay. So, look, we have work to do, but like I said, I think Tarrant County is in a pretty good position, and we're continuing to work towards even a better position.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, now question.
I just wanted to say, we have an independent group here with Bill FWRW, Miss Karen Weisman here, Dan Bates and stuff. And we have a great county judge. And just last week, he was giving us a status. And one of the things he said was that this group who evaluated all this came up with 7 recommendations. They're already adopting 5 and they're working on the last 2. That is huge.
Yeah.
So that's a wonderful thing that we need to be grateful that our current judge is going to work hard to.
And I think that is a great, so she was just talking about Tim O'Hare, and I just want to reiterate, look, this is why we need to have Republicans in office. People like Tim O'Hare are not afraid to confront the issues that matter for conservatives. And Tim O'Hare's done a great job of that. We need to protect people like Tim O'Hare. He's not on the ballot this time around, but it is for that very reason that we need to make sure that, Tarrant County, it is the largest red county in the country. And a lot of people don't recognize that. But in the battle for Texas, we all know that, and something I didn't touch on earlier, George Soros actually we sent out our how many of you here get the Tarrant County Roundup, our weekly email? Okay. How many of you don't get it? All right, please go to tarrantgop.org and sign up for our newsletter, because we talk about what's going on here in Tarrant County. We highlight some of the positive things going on. One of the things we talked about this morning, in our newsletter this morning, is George Soros. It's been reported recently, has dumped millions of dollars into Texas through a couple of shadowy organizations that are all kind of like, remember when Obama had his organization, the community organizers, it's that stuff, right? And they're doing the same thing here, and they're working to turn Texas blue, and one of the main places they're working to do that is right here in Tarrant County. So the Democrats have built a machine, as we like to call it in political terms, and that's one of the things that I'm trying to do here, is make sure that we build the Republican machine. I feel like we have all the pieces. It just takes a little bit of money and a little bit of direction and kind of a bigger picture view to manage all that in the right direction, so that we can combat what the Democrats are trying to do here. Tarrant County is the front line in the battle for Texas. If they turn Tarrant County, think about that. We have a bunch of state reps that are Republicans. Well, if the Democrats start winning Tarrant County, that means they're in charge of our elections. That means they're in charge of our ballot counting. You think Republicans are going to win any more of those races after that? No, of course not. So it's imperative. Think about that. If the Democrats win here, they knock out all of our Republican state reps. Do you know how close the margin is in the state legislature? That tips the legislature back to the Democrats. Now, I would argue we kind of have a problem with Democrats in the state legislature as it stands now. Yeah. But we're working on that too, and I think this primary we're going to see a lot of turnover there where we haven't seen in the past. But it's imperative. Yes, sir.
I'm going to have a question at the end, so this may sound like a speech, but to compliment, or hopefully compliment what you're saying. I've been talking about a long time. This is a great Tarrant County party. But you can't do anything that he's talking about without funds. Now, quite frankly, there's the uniparty of the establishment, and they're not very fond of us. We're grassroots people. This is a grassroots organization, and we will accept money from them, but we're not their favorite son. So yes, grassroots, we get out and y'all work, we do events, we all do what we can, but it takes money. And you think, well, I can't afford it. I bet you could find $20 a month that you could donate to this party month in and month out. So yeah, we love the big donations, but getting that regular income coming in is very important. So don't write yourself off as a donor to this organization. If you're a member of some club, if you're a member of something, use a bit of fee. We don't have a fee to be a GOP member, but we need to think like that, and we need to raise some serious money. So along that line, let me go ahead and offer this. So here's my question to you. If you would accept this, on February 18th, we're doing our Point to Endorse candidates. It's free. It's free. You've got RSVP to it. We'll have refreshments and stuff there. I am taking sponsorships of $250, $500, and $1,000 to help offset our costs. I'm going to also ask for people to donate while they're there, $10, whatever, but it's just a donation, not required. But whatever we raise beyond our expenses, which won't be that high, we're going to donate to the Tarrant County GOP, and Mona and I are going to match that amount up to $5,000. Please be a part of that. Email us.
That's amazing, Vince. Thank you so much, and Mona, thank you all so much. That's really generous. Yeah, I think to just touch on what you're saying there, you know, just before we do anything as a party, it costs us about a little less than $200,000 a year just to run the party. We have office expenses, we have one employee. So I'm a volunteer, by the way. I don't get paid anything. And so, you know, that's a lot of money. But then on top of that, do what I'm talking about doing. That, you know, we're talking millions of dollars, right? It's a lot of money. And so, yeah, of course we need bigger donations, bigger donors, and I'm working that network of people and feel pretty good about, you know, the direction we're headed. But we also just need, you know, whatever you can do. If it's $10 a month, $20 a month, $50 a month, whatever, that regular monthly donation helps just fund the operations of the party and makes everything work a lot more smoothly. So anything you can spare, please go to TerranceUSD.org. There's a donate button in the top right corner. So anybody who can do that would be super blessed to have that and just help fund the party. So thank you, Vince, for doing that.
Leslie has a question.
Leslie.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for everything you've done since you've been in the party, and we're really starting to feel a difference already, so I really appreciate it. I loved what you said about the energizing the message, energizing the youth in the Republican Party with their messaging and sort of a rebrand and a recoming together, because it seems to me that the Democrats have been doing a good job of mobilizing more of the up-and-coming voters, the 18 to 25 or 35 age bracket. And so I'm wondering, when you took office, is there an existing infrastructure to sort of work with the YCTs and the college Republicans and those sort of groups? Is that kind of how we're focused on trying to get some of these?
That's a great question. The short answer is no. There's like I said, there's very little. I think the party for a long time was thinking about the rules of the party, the precinct chairs, and you know, kind of just the normal role of not to be critical of anybody. I just think that's it's like this in most counties, right? This is not something unique to Tarrant County. I just think we have a unique situation in 2024 where it's really time to focus in a way that we haven't been focused, and so that's what I'm doing. So yes, I'm absolutely talking about bringing in, you know, coordinating help with groups. You know, the reason I accepted this invitation to come talk to this group because it's super critical, and so yeah, we're definitely working with getting involved with or getting other groups involved with what we're trying to accomplish here in Tarrant County.
So I'm actually a young person, right? So I'm in college, and when I go there, they have an agenda for sure. And once you sit in those classrooms, you hear them speaking, and they're always talking more left than they are right.
Yeah.
So my sister and I were voter registrars, so we'll probably sign up just to help you guys with numbers. But anyway, so what we do is we go to colleges and we set up a little table just to give them information, and a lot of the Democrats end up realizing that they're actually not Democrat, they're more Republican, which is really funny. Wow. Because they see, you know, we have our own agenda, but we believe like everyone has their own choice to decide what they want to believe, right? So what we do is you have two papers, you say this is the values of this party, this is the values of this party. What values do you think represent you? What represents your family? You know, because when you think, we always tell them, when you think about it, when you go to those polls, mommy ain't there, your friend ain't there, your teacher ain't there, it's just you in that poll. So it's you, and if you believe in God, you take him with you. But, you know, we're going to give you all the information here, and you decide what you think what is best for you. So with colleges, we are trying to get, you know, more people informed because they always want to follow a trend of their friends, or they want to, you know, fit in just to fit in. But they need to realize, like, you're voting for your future, and you got to remember who you're voting for, because they're going to do things that you're not going to agree with, and you can't complain because you didn't vote. So we just do that to inform them, to get them registered to vote, and let them know what's going on. So this is what
Thank you. You know, so I've just been given the hook. I think we have to get out of here pretty soon. You know, first of all, this restaurant is so generous to open up early so that your group can have this meeting here. So a round of applause. One of the organizations, I mean, there's lots of organizations, but one of the ones that really stands out to me on a national level is Charlie Kirk's organization, Turning Point. And if any of you are familiar with that, he's a brilliant young man who I had the good fortune of, I had lunch with him, I think it was like 2016 or something like it. It was feels like a lifetime ago. And he was telling me then, like, what he was trying to do, and then I see what he's done, and he's done way more than I ever thought he was going to be able to do. He's incredible. But what he's done is that he's had success in going into college campuses and engaging young people who think that they're radical leftists. And then he starts talking to them about, individual issues, and it turns out that a lot of people are not radical leftists when you start talking about individual issues. And I think, talking about the Hispanic community, I think Hispanic community is one where they align with the Republican Party on almost every issue, right? Almost every issue. They're big on faith, they're big on family, they're big on hard work. I mean, these are things that are, pillars of where we stand. And so I think we have a huge opportunity, and I think that's one thing where Republicans could do a lot better is not talking about Republican versus Democrat as much as honing in on individual issues, because that's where we're going to win people at the door. And when you knock on doors as candidates, for you people who are knocking on doors, that's where you can win people over, is talking about the individual issues. So with that, I just want to thank everybody. I know that we're out of time. Thank you so much. I'll stick around for a few more minutes. If you have any more questions, I'll give you my card. And listen, you feel free to reach out to me anytime. I try to return everybody's phone call or everybody's email. I'm not perfect at it because I do get tons of them, as you can imagine. It's a large county, but I'm happy to talk with you guys anytime. So thank you all very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Just a quick announcement, early voting starts week after next, February the 20th through March the 1st. Our elections are March the 5th. Do you want 3% of the population to determine who represents you? No. Get out and vote, get your neighbor to vote, get your grandma to vote, get grandma's granddaughter to vote, whoever you're going to take to vote, go get to vote. Take them to go vote. The Democrats are going to have people out there. Do we want to match them? Yes. Or do better than them? Yes, and I'm just going to say I'm so proud of this club because I know in the last election cycle we donated over $25,000 to the Tarrant County Republican Party. So the best way you can do that is to go to our website, sign up as a member, and be a BFF. BFF is a higher level. We donate a lot of that money to the party, candidates, things like that. So please be a BFF. It's one of the best, lowest amounts of money you'll ever spend, and it helps a lot countywide. So my general thing here, you don't have to go home, but you've got to get up out of here. So it's 11 o'clock. We want to give Mary the respect she needs because she's opening up her restaurant. So thank you all for coming. Come back next month, and we'll see you then.